Welcome back. I know how it goes. You've rallied, you've emailed, you've Zoomed, you've posted, you've shouted into the void, and maybe you've even rage cleaned your kitchen while thinking about the last city council meeting. But nothing's catching. The momentum just isn't showing up the way it used to, or maybe from your perspective, the way it should. This video, however, isn't just about messaging. It's actually all about energy. Because when your community isn't mobilizing, the first place we look isn't actually your organizing platform. We look at what people are carrying. And right now, that's fear, fatigue, fragmentation, and often at least one existential crisis, sometimes disguised as a Slack thread. So today, we're going to break down how to lead your organizing in a way that reclaims energy, rebuilds trust, and reignites momentum. No shame, no fluff, just real tools to get your people and you moving in the right direction again. But before we dive in, I want to invite you to download the free Ripple Effect Institute Action Guide. It walks you through 5 key leadership shifts, and it will make sure that you are not leading from a place that is eventually going to turn to burnout. And if you're looking for a space that actually gets the weight of what you're holding in a community of tremendous leaders walking the same path, book a course consultation with our team. It's free. We know that you weren't meant to carry this movement like it's your emotional backpack. So let's get started. Here's what we've seen again and again inside the Ripple Effect Institute. Organizers, directors, change agents doing everything right and still seeing flat energy from their organizing base. But when we take a step back, there's almost always one thing at play. Everyone is scared. Everyone's tired. And that includes, by the way, you. Yes, even you, with the color-coded Google Calendar, the 50 open tabs on your laptop, and a nervous system held together with oat milk and really good intentions. We've worked with thousands of change makers, from frontline organizers to national campaigners to people running for office. And this moment right now, it's heavier than any moment we've seen in our lifetimes. And when people are emotionally maxed out, they don't move. And it's not because they don't care. It's because their capacity is gone. So let me make one thing clear. Effective mobilization does not begin with charisma. It doesn't even begin with content. It begins with regulation. Because when leaders are grounded enough to carry hope and clarity and not just urgency, movements swell, grow, and affect real change. So let me share a couple of points with you here that will further your ability to mobilize your base even in these trying times. First things first, people freeze in the face of fear. We often assume people aren't moving because they're apathetic or they don't care, but more often they're totally overwhelmed and they're doom scrolling nonstop. That's a little familiar. Seeing war, injustice, climate collapse, economic instability, and they're just done. When your community is in freeze mode, more urgency doesn't actually motivate them. It actually shuts them down. It's like yelling, "We have to move," at a room full of people lying face down in a puddle of burnout. Speaking of burnout, the second thing I want to share with you is that while burnout is contagious, so is regulation. You can be the most passionate person in the room, but if you're visibly depleted, anxious, or chaotic, your people won't think, "Wow, that's really a leader and a movement I can get behind." Instead, they'll think, "She seems really exhausted, and I'm not sure I want that." If you want to create movement, your energy has to feel anchored. That doesn't mean you're never tired, but it does mean you're not leading from a place of panic. And let me just share something. All of us need our support. You are, in fact, allowed to panic. You're allowed to cry and wail and despair for where we are right now. But it's really important that when you show up to lead others, you do it from a grounded and regulated place. So you can take those moments of meltdown, but you need to take them with your loved ones, with your friends, with other leaders at your level who really get it. Otherwise, your burnout, your fear becomes contagious in those that you are trying to mobilize. And that, my friends, is self-defeating. Okay, let's pause for a second here. When was the last time your leadership actually pulled people in instead of maybe pushing them away or forcing them to think about the latest, most horrible thing that's happened? Drop the moment where you know your leadership resonated with others in the comments. Or tell us what you think might be holding your people back. Let's talk about it seriously. I read the comments here. even the long ones with multiple subclauses. And I'll also tell you that everyone in our community benefits from what you have to share. So let us know. Drop us a comment below. Okay, third point that I want to make, and this one is really important. Effective mobilization requires safety. People don't always follow what's loud. They show up in environments where there's a clear community built that is safe and understanding and welcoming. And your clarity in creating that community, it only comes if you're leading from your purpose, not from a place of pressure. So a little spoiler alert here, and I think this one is kind of obvious. Panic is not an effective strategy, even when it's backed up by good intentions. So what does real community safety look like that builds movements? Well, it means a few things. It means inclusion. It means giving everyone a space to be who they are and feel what they feel. It means doing the work to make sure your own internal biases and fears aren't unintentionally excluding others. And it always means taking steps in protest and direct action work and in everything that you do to protect the most vulnerable among us. And lastly, this may sound counterintuitive. It means, God forbid, making the work of change fun. Because one of the things that pulls people into movements is actually finding a place where the work is enjoyable. So don't neglect the social importance of what you're working on. Create an environment where people can show up and be in community and enjoy one another's company. Not everything has to be from a place of striving. And in fact, what we've found most recently with the leaders that we work with is the most compelling movements that are growing at the fastest rate are the ones where people are brought together in communities of love and support. So make the work enjoyable. Do that potluck. Have that after event happy hour. And make sure that everyone in your community feels safe and included in the work. Okay, point 4. This is where movement messaging becomes really important. And here, we're not talking about branding. We're not even talking about what your graphics look like when you create them on Canva. What we're talking about is messaging that reconnects people to meaning. Messaging that acknowledges pain and also offers a pathway forward. It is messaging that reminds people of the big why. That's what sparks momentum. That, by the way, is also something that keeps people coming back. So we teach a formula inside the Ripple Effect Institute Action Guide on how to message effectively to pull people in. It concerns 4 strategies: identifying the problem, speaking the emotion behind it, providing a solution, and offering a call to action. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Even this framework won't work if you're offering it from a place of depletion. This is why inside the Ripple Effect Institute, one of the things that we offer as our first training is how to regulate and create resilience first. I want to remind you here of something very obvious. Progressive leaders right now are exhausted. Our communities are fractured, still recovering from recent harms, and trying to find a way to navigate through this incredibly challenging moment. But the key feature to where we find ourselves is that leadership does not require martyrdom. In fact, it's more important than ever that leaders like you take care of ourselves, that when we structure our messages and we build our movements, that resilience is an integral part of what we do. So when you think about your messaging, I also want you to think about something really important. How can you provide messaging about the importance of this moment without leading people from a place of burnout? If you're done trying to figure this all out alone, if you know that as a leader, you need to figure out how to manage your own emotional resiliency as you move forward to build a legacy level movement, please consider booking a strategy consult with us. We'll meet you where you are and help you lead from that place with power, resilience, and strategy. No superhero capes required. And if this video resonated with you, make sure you give it a like. It helps this content to reach other leaders like you. And don't forget, you can share this with a fellow organizer who's been running on fumes and coffee shop Wi-Fi. And make sure you subscribe to this channel for more grounded, strategic, human-centered leadership tools for progressive leaders trying to create real change. And up next, I want you to watch this video on how to lead for change even when the world is falling apart. That one will help you do the necessary work of getting your own nervous system under control and how to build from there. Because let's be honest, we didn't come this far to just keep treading water. We came this far to build a better future in the face of real harm that leads to a world where everyone is free. I'll see you in the next video.